Telefonlarni o'chirib qo'yamiz. Iltimos, assalomu alaykum hammaga. Kutamiz. Boshqalar qo'shilishini bizda 6 minut vaqt bor. Xudo xolasa, Mr. Adriandan darsdan boshlaymiz. Kimnidir Surayo Nigmatova, sizmi? Kimnidir mikrofonni yoqilgan. Telefonlarni o'chirib qo'yamiz. Iltimos, assalomu hop, mikrofonlarni o'chirib qo'yamiz. Ikki kishi, Islomjon va Feruza, umuman yoqolmadilar mikrofonlarini. Ularni endi o'rgatib olish kerak ekanda. Okay. Hademay hozir 1 minutdan keyin Mr. Adrian qo'shilsalar kerak. Ana bizni YouTube kanalimizdagi ssilkani, lekin mana bu ssilkani emas, YouTube kanalimizdagi ssilkani yaqinlaringizga, tanishlaringizga ham ulashib, demak, ularga ham yuboring, kirishsin, YouTube'da kommentlar qoldirishsin. Shunaqa nima deydi, qatnashishsin ular ham. Faqat Zoom emas, Zoomga taklif qilmanglar, mumkin emas Zoomda. YouTube'ga kirib tomosha qilishlari mumkin. Agar kim Zoomni tarqatadigan bo'lsa, o'sha keyin biz uni umuman qo'shmay qo'yamiz. Islomjonga bizda Diyora bormilar? Diyora yordam bera olasizmi? Hozir ovoz yo'qlarga yordam berishimiz kerak. Adrian qo'shilmadilar deyman hali. Okey, Islom keldi. Hammasi joyida ekan. Okay, but I cannot see him. I need the meeting already. Zoom says we have another meeting. Okay. Mr. Adrian hozir kirdilar, boshqa link anaqa bo'lib qolgan shekilli. Hozir men buni yubordim, endi bunga kiradilar. Hozir. Hop. Hozir qo'shilib qoladilar. Yana bir daqiqa kutib qolaylik. Kutib turaylik. Do we have speaking with Adrian? Yes, Alimardon Turg'unboyev. Yes, we have. We will start now. Guys, Adrian, Mr. Adrian is online. Hi, Mr. Adrian, how are you? So you are muted right now.
Now I'm unmuted. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Step by step, we'll get there. I'm doing great, Shardor. How are you?
Very well. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
And so we have 19 students for now, maybe 18 students, and we can start. Thank you for joining, everybody. Mr. Adrian, let's start.
Okay, great. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Adrian, and I'm going to be your IELTS instructor for about the next hour or so. Just give me a moment for me to share my screen with you here, and then we will get going on today's lesson. Shardor, have you enabled screen sharing?
I did, yes, of course.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so everybody should be able to see my screen now. Does everybody see the screen that I've got up here with IELTS speaking full? Yes? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's make it even bigger. Like that. All right. Okay, great. So maybe we have some students here who have been in some previous classes with me, maybe we have some new students. Again, my name is Adrian. I have been an IELTS instructor for almost 20 years, and I have been working with Shardor and MyTeacher Uzbekistan for about the past half year, and we've had a great time together so far, helping many students to learn the correct strategies for the IELTS exam. My goal in this lesson for everybody is to teach you IELTS speaking, to teach you the correct steps so that you can improve your band score for the IELTS exam and you can succeed in getting the requirements for university or for work. I'm also the owner of several websites and YouTube channels, namely aehelp.com, which is for academic IELTS, glshelp.com for general IELTS. And if you're browsing YouTube, you can check out academic IELTS help channel. I'll circle that here, start annotating a bit, and general IELTS help. So we have a few million subscribers and lots of videos that will help you there as well. And if you have questions that you do not get answers for in this class, you can always send me an email. This is my email here, adrian@aehelp.com, admin@aehelp.com. So for this class, my goal again is to teach you some strategies and also to practice English with as many of you as possible using a sample question sheet for the IELTS speaking interview. So the goal of this class is to be interactive. So I want you to talk to me. I want you to ask me questions, and I want you to be confident. We're all humans. We all have a passion to succeed. So be brave, be confident, don't be shy. We all make mistakes and we learn from our mistakes. So mistakes are good. All right. Any questions so far about who I am, what is IELTS, what is IELTS speaking? Anybody have a burning question that you must have answered? You can just kind of jump in, and I think Shardor is controlling the meeting a bit here. So you can also use emotes on Zoom, and you can raise your hand to make it a little bit more systematic. So if somebody has a question, you can ask me.
Yes, anybody who wants to speak can unmute themselves.
Maybe no one quite yet. Everybody's just paying attention. That's okay. We'll go along and we'll get more and more into the lesson.
There is some comments on the chat. What books do you advise to increase vocabulary and grammar? Abdullah Khilola.
Okay, yeah, I just opened up the chat and I see the question in my screen that's above the other one there. So I got that. What books? Great question. So, well, first of all, of course, everybody who is MyTeacher Uzbekistan student should have access to the websites, to aehelp.com. When you go to that website, you will find a couple of books that you can download in PDF format. I'll show you that real quick. So you log into your My Student account on the website, and then when you're logged into your My Student account, you will have this third tab here that says IELTS exams, workbooks, study plans, and it's a great place to start. You can download the exams and the workbooks, and they are full of vocabulary. When you're learning vocabulary, what's important is that you learn it in context. So learning vocabulary is useful when you learn it in sentences, especially from the intermediate level. So there's no real need to look at just words without context. It's not effective. So when you learn vocabulary, immediately use it in your speaking and in your writing. Of course, a lot of other good books, if you have looked at the books on the website, the Cambridge past papers, there's Cambridge past exams books 1 to 17, I think now. So you can look at those. Start with the more recent ones. So start with book 13, 14, 15, 16. And those are really good for vocabulary as well, learning them in context. looking at high school textbooks in English, if you can find those online. So high school biology, high school history, and so on. Those are also good because the vocabulary for IELTS that you need is about the high school, grade 11, grade 12 level. So if you find textbooks for high school from the UK, from the US, Canada online, those are also good to read chapter summaries. Okay. Hopefully that gives you some direction of where to go. All right. Grammar, you should definitely study every day. I see that part of the question as well. That's a good part. Grammar, you have to learn as well. Grammar, you can also learn on the websites, okay? And we'll practice some in the class today. All right, everybody. So let's just jump forward to the speaking. Now, with the speaking for IELTS, there are a couple of quick strategies that you can apply to really help you during test day, okay? And hopefully, if you've heard me speak before, then you remember these. The first one is to show up to your test about an hour before your speaking interview starts, okay? You have to be there 20 minutes before to register for your exam, but you should go there an hour before your exam starts. Find other candidates who are waiting for their test. You will see them. They're kind of walking around, looking at the walls and looking at people like they're lost, and it's totally okay. Just go to them and say, hi, are you here for IELTS in English? Okay. And then say, I'm here for my speaking too. Can we practice a little bit? My teacher told me it's very useful for confidence, for fluency. This one strategy to go an hour early and to practice with other candidates can easily help you to get a half a band or 1 band score more. Okay. So make sure to do that. All right. And then once you get to your interview, so once you meet with your IELTS examiner, be confident, be yourself. It's not the end of the world. The sun will shine tomorrow. They're only human. They are there to do a job. And your goal is to get the best score possible. The way to do that is to stick to strategy. Okay, the IELTS speaking is not a casual conversation. You are not having a conversation with a friend. Okay, why do I say that? Why do I say that you're not having a conversation with a friend? Does anybody know? Some teachers, some people say, oh, just think about it like you're talking with your friend. That's not a good idea. You have to think about it like you're talking to your grandfather, your grandmother, not a friend. Why do I say that? Why do I say that it's not a casual conversation with a friend? Does somebody want to jump in and just speak your mind?
It's academic test, and we should be a bit more academic. If we are talking with our friends, we usually talk casually, not academic. That's why I think.
Almost, yeah. So I'm not sure who that was just speaking, but you're on the right track. So it's not academic. That's not quite right. The speaking interview and the listening sections of the exam are the same for general. It's more, instead of academic, we can say it's more professional. It's a professional conversation with a stranger. And you're right. When we speak to our friend, we speak casually, and our friends know us. The big difference is that the IELTS examiner doesn't know us. They don't know what we like. They don't have the same understanding of movies, TV shows, music, using the internet. So what happens when people talk to the examiner like their friend is they tend to speak in short sentences, and they miss a lot of important information because they assume that the examiner knows the information. So they'll say like, DM me on IG. And it's like, what do you want me to do? So it's a professional conversation with a stranger. You have to speak in clear, full sentences using your best English. Okay. So think about it like you're speaking with your grandfather or your grandmother. They love you, but they don't know what's popular. You have to explain ideas clearly. You have to speak loudly and with full sentences. Okay, and then the speaking has 3 parts. the examiner will give you instructions for each of the 3 parts. We're going to more or less simulate these 3 parts, and I'm going to just take volunteers today throughout, and I will give you strategies and tips as you answer questions. So it will be more like a workshop where we get to interact a lot and get real experience. Okay, so I'm going to just simply start the interview for you, and then I'll get people to volunteer, jump in and answer some questions, and then I will give you some feedback. How does that sound? Does that sound good? If that sounds good, you can give me a thumbs up. If that sounds terrible, you can give me a thumbs down in the emotes. All right, let's get going. So you practiced with some other candidates, you're feeling good, you registered, you're thinking about your strategies, you remember that you have to answer questions, give good explanations for your answers, and include lots of examples, okay? Then you go into your speaking interview and you will see an examiner. They might be a native speaker, so they could be like me, somebody from Canada. They could be someone from the US, UK, Australia, or they could be from Uzbekistan. So it could be somebody who just speaks really good English and is a non-native speaker. It doesn't matter their accent, okay? Don't worry about that. Just worry about yourself. And then they will say, welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. We are conducting this exam in Tashkent. The time right now is 16 o'clock. This is candidate number 97887651, examiner number 73284, and exam center 9QY8. Let's begin. May I see your identification? Who would like to try these first few warm-up questions with me? So part 1, introductions, warm-up questions. Who would like to try to answer these questions?
May I?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. May I ask who I'm speaking with?
What?
May I ask, what is your name?
Yeah, my name is Abdullah Hilola.
And what should I call you?
Hilola.
Milona?
Hilola.
Filola. Okay, the line's a little bit off, but that's okay. All right, Filola. May I see your identification?
Yes, of course. Here is my passport, which I have used for registration, and I'm very happy to bring it with me.
Where's your hometown?
It's in Uzbekistan, actually Andijan, and it is the most densely populated area of my country. It's located in the northern and eastern part of Uzbekistan. There are lots of places to visit and enjoy, though it's not so well developed, that you can see and visit.
What do you like about it?
Most of all, I enjoy visiting some sites with spectacular landscape, fresh air, like Bagh Shamal in Hanabad. You know, here you can see a really fantastic view of mountainous area, and even you can enjoy somehow hiking or other activities, physical activities. And even you can taste some national and delicious food here, as there are lots of tahanas, our national restaurants, like.
Okay, good. Filola, we'll stop there for a second and I will give you some feedback. First of all, you're doing great. So you've got some nice English, you've got good vocabulary, you have good sentence structure, nice pronunciation. All of those are definitely your strengths, okay? And just based on these few questions, you're definitely at about a band 6.5 level. I think you can easily push towards a band 7, 7.5 very quickly with just a couple of adjustments, okay? So first of all, you're giving me nice full sentences. You're giving me explanations. You're giving me examples. That is great. You get a thumbs up for that. That's awesome. Okay. In fact, it's a little too good. So IELTS speaking is all about finding a balance between not too short, not too long, but somewhere right in the middle. Okay. So you're a little bit on the long side. And unfortunately, what happens in the IELTS, because it's a timed exam, is the examiner will interrupt you if you keep speaking. So after you answer a question, students, make sure to stop and just wait for the examiner to ask you the next question. Do not wait until you are interrupted, okay? Some people on YouTube and in some IELTS classes say, oh, just keep speaking until the IELTS examiner interrupts you. No, definitely not, okay? That is bad. If the examiner is interrupting you, it will make the interview awkward and your coherence mark will go down. So don't do that, okay? So keep in mind, students, this is my first tip for you here, is after you have given an answer, explanation, and example, okay, stop and wait for the next question. All right, do not speak until you're interrupted. Also, when students speak a lot and they just keep going, they tend to make more mistakes. So they start with clear, correct English, good grammar, and then when they are talking, that's when they start to make 1, 2, 3, and then more grammatical mistakes. So do not speak until you are interrupted, okay? So that's my first feedback here. When I asked you, may I see your identification? And you said, yes, of course, here's my passport, which I have used for registration. Just stop there. So this, and I'm very happy to bring it with me. I mean, I'm sure you are, because otherwise they would send you home, but you don't need to tell me that, okay? It's kind of strange. I don't need that information as your examiner, and you'll scare me. I think I'll have to interrupt you lots if you talk like that. So make sure to leave that out, okay? Don't repeat information in your answers, and don't give unnecessary or off-topic information. Instead, Philola, work a little bit more on your speed. So your fluency is okay, but it's a little bit on the slow side. So you want to speak a little bit faster. Okay, so push yourself to speak faster a bit, not much, by about 15% faster. Okay, so yes, of course, here's my passport, which I have used for registration. Can you try that, Philola? Yes, of course, here's my passport, which I have used for registration.
Yes, of course. Here is my passport, which I have used for registration.
A little bit faster. Yes, of course. Here's my passport, which I have used for registration.
Yes, of course. Here is my passport, which I have used for registration.
Good. Okay. So that's the speed that you're aiming for. All right. So in your case, with your English, what I recommend is when you're recording yourself, when you're doing practice, try to repeat your speaking sections and increase the speed each time. Listen back, increase the speed each time. Okay. So target fluency. All right. And it was the same for these other questions as well, a little bit shorter, a little bit more to the point. Now, one more very important tip using these answers. What do you like about it? So you said, most of all, I enjoy visiting some sites with spectacular landscapes. Okay, that's fine. Sites and spectacular landscapes are a little bit repetitive. It's kind of the same. And then you said, like this place, you can see, and you can even enjoy hiking, and you can see some national delicious foods here. Instead of see, you can say taste some national delicious foods here. But there's one word here that I always tell students to avoid. Philola, do you know what word I might be thinking about? So there's a word here that you should definitely avoid in your speaking and in your writing. What is that word? Anybody know? You can also put it in the chat. Ula Sheba, it's not thing, because Philola didn't really use the word thing here. Yeah, Abdu Rakimova says it's the word you. Absolutely. So the word you is used quite often here, and it makes for awkward communication. even though we do that in natural everyday conversation, it's not good communication. So avoid using the word you. Philola, what kind of words could you use instead of you in this case?
In this case, I think tourists can enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Tourists. So, and tourists can enjoy. Yes. What else?
Or visitors can enjoy.
Yep. Tourists, visitors. What else?
Or here we can use some kind of passive voice.
You don't have to. You can at some point, but you could say visitors. Don't forget about other words like locals, right? So not just people who come to your city, but people who live there, right? So locals, citizens, right? Okay. All right. And so immediately you're increasing your lexical resource. That's one big reason not to use you. There's lots of reasons, but one big reason is because you're replacing better vocabulary with you. So when we use the word you in our answers, the quality of our answers decrease significantly. Okay. So always find those better nouns. All right. Philola, thank you for being my first volunteer. That was awesome. Would somebody like to, thank you. Would somebody like to volunteer for the next few questions for part 1? Anybody?
May I, teacher?
Sure. May I ask who I'm speaking with?
Yes, of course. I can answer for your questions.
This is Sonia? Sonia?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
My name is Sonia.
Okay. Hi, Sonia. Welcome. All right, Sonia. Why are you taking the IELTS exam?
Hopefully, I'm going to apply the University of Westminster.
Westminster. Okay, awesome. And what do you plan to study there?
I'm going to study for the economic degree.
Okay, so you're going to study to be an economist or a Bachelor of Economics, Okay, great. All right. So I'm going to ask you some questions for part 1. Again, just do your best to give full sentence answers, but after you have given an answer and you think it satisfies the question, just stop and wait for the next question, okay? Avoid the word you, especially in this context, all right? So once you answer a few questions for the examiner about yourself or about your hobbies, in most cases, they will introduce some kind of general topic that all humans have knowledge about, okay? And that can be anything. When I did the IELTS exam, I've actually done the IELTS exam myself to get the student experience. My part 1 topic was talking about math. Never try to predict the topics, never try to guess what it will be, like sports or hobbies. Just be open-minded, be ready for any kind of general topic. Okay, here we go. So let's talk about parties. How often do you go to a party?
When my friends or group mates give a party, I go to party to appreciate your receivings. So when my friends give party, I go to there.
Which is your favorite kind of party?
I'm fan of birthday parties because at this time I can receive gifts or give gifts for somebody because at this time I can happy or I can
Where is a
that's
fun place to have a party?
there are a lot of places to organize a party, but restaurants are very good place to have a party because it has a lot of facilities to give party.
Okay, let's stop there. And with the next two, we'll find someone else, give everybody a chance, or as many people as we can. I'll give you some feedback, okay? So first of all, a band score estimate. So with those answers, your band score is going to be somewhere around a band 5 to 5.5. So moderate going towards fluent, okay? So according to the IELTS, a band 6 is fluent. And a band 5 is moderate English. It means that you can express yourself, but you need a bit of time. So you need the listener to wait a little bit and be patient a little bit to get an understanding of your answers. So that's where the examiner is here. That's the assessment. But you're close, right? So for university, you need a 6.5 usually for your entrance, and you're close. You just need to practice a bit more and pay a little bit more attention to word choice and strategy. My first tip to you, Sonia, is do lots of reading. Okay, lots of reading and lots of reading aloud, English books, novels, just to increase your fluency and to have better word choice. Okay, reading is very good for that. So another important tip, and this is for everybody. So pay attention, everyone, because mistakes are common. So when one person makes a mistake, it tends to be common among other people as well. So here's another tip for everybody. Answer the questions directly using the questions, okay? Answer the question, always answer them directly using the questions. So answer the questions directly by using the questions, okay? So here, when the examiner says, let's talk about parties, it's good to think about, birthdays, anniversaries, special occasions, national holidays. And then this is a very popular question early in part one, how often? How often, of course, is targeting what's called adverbs of frequency, okay? Sonia, what are some adverbs of frequency?
I think the time when the party organized, when
Good guess, Sonia, but I'm going to interrupt you. No, but you tried. It's okay. Adverbs of frequency are specific adverbs like always, okay, often, usually, sometimes, rarely, never. Okay, and this is going back to, I think it was Abdu Rakimova's question about grammar. You do want to definitely always pay a bit of attention and spend time studying grammar. So this question is targeting adverbs of frequency. The questions that the examiners are asking you all have some kind of hidden goal, a hidden type of grammar that they're testing with that question. The how often question is testing your use of adverbs of frequency, okay? And so when you gave me the answer here, you said, when my friends or group meets, I go to parties to appreciate receivings. It's a very awkward start. You need to be much, much more direct. So I often go to parties, or I sometimes go to parties, right? I often go to parties. Now, Sonia, if somebody often goes to parties, how often is that? So what is going to a party often?
Because they have work, or they may be just busy.
But here, let's say like a person goes often. Often means a lot, right? So what do you think is when a person is partying a lot? What does that mean in your understanding?
I think they love the parties.
Right. So how often do they go? Like if I tell you, if you ask me, hey, Adrian, how often do you party? And I go, I party often. What do you think I mean by that?
Every day, or
Awesome, Sonia, you're great. Every day. I was thinking like every Friday, but sure, every day. Why not, right? Okay, it could be, right? Somebody, if somebody parties every day, we actually would call them a party animal. So I would say I'm a party animal, but I would say I often go to parties every Friday when I'm finished my classes. I used to party when I was in high school or university, but not that much anymore. So every Friday when I'm finished my schoolwork, okay? At least, let's say 4 to 5 times a month. Okay, so here I'm giving the adverb of frequency, often, and I'm defining it with some numbers and some quantification, like every Friday and 5 times a month. Okay, so that's quantification. Students, this is important advice for everybody. Quantification is extremely important for good communication. Okay, so when you are talking about an expensive object, or you have to travel far to go to school, or you go to parties often, quantify, give numbers, right? So it costs $10,000. I have to walk 5 kilometers both ways in snow. So give numbers, okay? So tip 2, or tip 3, sorry, I should say, is use numbers to clarify your communication. Okay, it's very powerful, all right? And be direct. Okay, be direct. And then you can give an example, like I went to a birthday party with my friend Abdul last Friday. Okay, so Sonia, try this one. Okay, how often do you go to a party? I frequently go to parties every Friday when I'm finished my schoolwork, at least 4 to 5 times a month. I went to a birthday party with my friend Abdul last Friday. Try that. How often do you go to a party?
Sorry.
Yeah, try it one more time. Yeah, so try to answer the question using this example. So how often do you go to a party?
I often go to parties every Friday when I am finished my schoolwork, at least 4 to 5 times a month. I went to a birthday party with my friend Abdul last Friday.
Awesome. So that's the way you want to answer. And again, this is a reminder too that the examiner is a stranger. So when you say I often party, they don't know what that means. It could be every day, you're a party animal, or it could be once a week, or it could be twice a month. Okay, so use numbers to make that clear. Now, just another important vocabulary fix here. Let me see where it is. Okay, so you said restaurants are a good place to give a party, right? It's not give a party. You don't give a party. It's the wrong verb. Does anybody know what the correct verb is? In this case, students, you can put the answer into the chat. So we don't give parties in English. There's a couple of other verbs that you can use, but not give. It's not give a party. What is it? What's the correct verb? Roxy says organize a party. Organize is okay. Yeah. Anybody know any other words?
Have a party.
Have a party is okay as well. There are even a couple better words than organize or have. Anybody know? There are a couple of verbs that are even better than organize or have. Organize and have are okay. There's 2 more that you can say which are even better. You can host a party, or one that's very commonly used. It starts with a T.
How about arrange or do a party?
We don't do a party. You can arrange a party. That's a little bit different. You don't do a party. It's kind of a very visual way to say it. You throw a party. Okay. So you throw, it's like you're throwing a party. Okay.
It's a new word.
Yeah, so everybody can repeat after me. I threw a party for my friend's birthday last week. Do it with your microphone off, otherwise it'll get crazy, but just repeat after me. So I threw a birthday party for my best friend last week. All right, so remember that as you're learning new words throughout this session, make sure to write them down and again, practice them in context. So that's the best way to learn vocabulary. Okay, so let's move on to the next few questions. Sonia, thank you so much for volunteering for those first few. That was really good. So work on some clear, yeah, awesome. So work on some clear answers. Make sure to use the question in your answer, okay? Who would like to volunteer for the next few questions of
May
part
I
one?
try?
It's Feruza?
Roxy. May I?
Roxy. Okay, let's go with Roxy. So we've got some volunteers. It's fine. We've got a bit of time. So let's go with Roxy. Okay, Roxy, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, Roxy, here we go. So let's just jump right into it. So continuing with part one, let's talk about parties. Who do you usually invite to your parties?
Well, actually, I have some friends whom I usually go to their parties. So whenever I throw a party, I try to call them to my party. So it's actually my close friends and my relatives.
Have you ever been to a party in another city? And if yes, where?
To be honest, yes, I've been in a party in another city. It's actually my hometown. I live in Tashkent, but that party was in Kashkadarya, and that was my nephew's birthday, and I went there. It was actually a couple of years ago.
If you could host a big celebration for any reason, what would you do?
I would throw a party without even thinking. I would organize a party in a restaurant where nice meals are served. So the restaurant should be big enough to host my all relatives
That is
and
the
friends.
end of part one. We will now continue with part two. All right. And so that's what happens, Roxy, is as soon as you start to kind of go off topic, like talking about the restaurant and the size of the restaurant, they will just interrupt you, especially if they're trying to get to part two. So once you feel like you've answered the question, you need to just stop. Otherwise, they'll interrupt you. And it's not to be rude. It's because they have to get through part two and part three, and they have a time limit because they know that there's other candidates that are waiting. So it's not because they're trying to be mean or rude, but it's just because they need to finish on time. Okay. All right. Okay, so your band score would be about a 6 to 6.5, so somewhere in between there. So you're fluent. However, it's not quite considered good English yet. Band 7 is when you get into the good English category. But fluent English, that's great. I mean, if you're fluent in any other language, a second language or third language, that's already fantastic. So you're in the right direction. Okay. My first tip for you is make sure to answer the question. So don't redesign the question, okay? If you could host a big celebration for any reason, what would you do? Let's just look at this last one, okay? Make sure that, first of all, you're using the full grammar. Okay, even though in everyday communication, we don't always use the full grammar of answers. For example, with conditionals, we often just give the result. We don't give the condition. What I mean by that is in everyday conversation, if somebody says, if you had $1 million, what would you buy? And people just say, oh, I would buy a house. Right? So they don't repeat the condition. They don't say, if I had $1 million. But on the IELTS exam, everyone, it's really important to use the full grammar of questions in your answers. Okay. So you have to use the condition. And to get those nice high band scores like band 8 or band 9, you want to paraphrase that grammar, right? So given the chance. Now, Roxy, I commend you for being very clever and using new vocabulary right away. So I noticed that you used the verb throw a couple of times, and that was really good, okay, for the party. So given the opportunity. to host a party. Right? So there's your condition. So given the opportunity to host a party, I would throw a party for my parents without even thinking, because they have given so much effort and love for me and my siblings. And it would be great to make them happy. Okay, so that would be a good direct answer. Okay, if you need a moment to think about the idea, like what kind of party, like a birthday party or a graduation party or an anniversary or for your parents, then ask for time. Say, well, just give me a second to think about it. Well, given the opportunity. Okay, Roxy, but use the full grammar of the questions. Okay. All right. So let's take out that part. Let's practice this. So Roxy, please repeat this after me. Everybody else can practice repeating also. Just keep your microphones off. Roxy, you can keep your microphone on. Okay. I'm going to repeat this sentence and then copy after me. All right. Here we go. So given the opportunity to host a party, I would throw a party for my parents without even thinking, because they have given so much effort and love to me and my siblings, and it would be great to make them happy.
Given the opportunity to host a party, I would throw a party for my parents without even thinking, because they have given so much effort and love to me and my siblings. It would be great to make them happy.
All right, good. Okay, so that's what you want to do. So use those questions. Okay, that's again I don't want to say easy, but it's a quick strategy to improve your band score. Use the question, paraphrase the question, reflect the grammar. Okay. All right, Roxy, thank you so much for volunteering. We'll take somebody else for part 2. Who would like to volunteer for part 2? Maybe let's have a guy. We've had 3 females. I don't know our ratio of male to female, but it'd be good to have a balance a little bit. So if there's a gentleman out there who would like to give this a shot.
May I?
Anybody can, but I'm just wondering if we can have a little bit of maybe gender balance. It's okay. I don't know. Maybe maybe the class is mostly females. I'm not sure.
Shall I try?
It's okay. Any guys out there?
Shall I try?
Yeah, you can. If no guys are volunteering, who am I speaking with?
I'm Iqbalay.
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 I'm terrible at pronouncing Uzbek names, as you've probably realized, and I apologize for that. Okay, Iqbalay. All right. Yes, you can try. So we're going to work together for part 2 a little bit, okay, at the beginning, and then I'll let you take over. So when you're finished part 1, which will take about 5 minutes, Iqbalay, the examiner will say that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these, think about your answers, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start and when to stop. Talk about a person you know that is good with computers. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now.
Okay.
And so your first step is to read the questions. So can you read the questions for me?
May I read now?
Yes.
Loudly.
Yes.
Okay, talk about a person you know that's good with computers. Who is this person? What's this person like? Why are they good with computers? What will you suggest to them to do with their computer skills to be successful?
Okay, good. Now, in the IELTS, ideally, you can even read them twice, okay, in your real IELTS exam, just to make sure that you are clear and you answer all of those questions. All right, let's take the next step. So when you're talking about a person, what should you mention to your listener? What do you think?
I must speak about his or her knowledge about computers, related to computers, and also speaking about he or she graduated which university, I think. And also in this question, we must say about only knowledge about related to computers.
Okay, you're on the right track. Absolutely. So you need to be specific for sure. You cannot give some general ideas. So you need to talk about their computer knowledge, their education, maybe their work, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're talking to a stranger, right? The examiner. So the very first step when you have to talk about a person is to talk about their appearance. So give a little bit about what this person looks like. Okay, just very quickly, 15 seconds. Okay, so looks or appearance. Just because the
Okay.
examiner has no idea, so we want to create a picture in their head. Okay, it's much clearer when we have an image of the individual. Okay, now when we're talking about a person, we want to discuss their personality. And when you see this question, what is this person like? That's basically asking you, what is their personality? What are their characteristics? Okay, so personality would be like hardworking, enthusiastic, kind, friendly,
Yeah.
and so forth, right? Now, personality should always be backed up by action. Okay, so what does that actually mean? Like if you say hardworking, what does that mean, right? And in this case, you focus those actions on the topic of computers, right? So he is very hardworking. He spends at least 10 to 12 hours each day coding software. Okay. Can you repeat that sentence after me? He is very hardworking. He spends at least 10 to 12 hours each day coding software.
He's very hardworking. He spends at least 10 to 12 hours each day coding software.
Okay, good. One of the most common mistakes by students when they talk about a person for part 2 is they say a lot of personality, but they forget to talk about actions, and it's really confusing. So they'll say something like, you know, my friend is really hardworking. They're very, very kind. They always work lots, and they're really friendly. And then they just keep listing these personalities, but without action. And without action, it starts to become very awkward and confusing. So you should always say a personality and then back it up with an action. Okay. All right. And then within that context, answer all the questions. Okay. Now, the next important step when you're in part 2 is always think about a couple different people. So don't just, or a couple of answers. Don't just think of one answer. Sometimes often when candidates think of one answer, it's maybe not the best one. And then they get into a difficult situation. They don't know what to say. So try to think of at least a couple of answers before your 1 minute time is up. So who are you going to talk about for us today with computers, or somebody who's good at computers? Ik Baloy?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yeah. So who do you know that's good with computers?
Okay. And this person is my friend. Her name is Shahnoza, and nowadays we are working together.
Wait, let's stop there for a second. I'm just going to stop for you for just 1 second. So you decided to talk about your friend Shakhnova, right? Okay. Do you know anybody else that's good with computers?
Yeah, there are a lot of teachers in our school. One of them is Suraj. He is also he has also best experience related to computers.
Okay, good. All right. So if you really think about it, right, who would be better to talk about, Shakhnova or Suraj? So if you're thinking about, okay, who can I talk about more or easier? Which one is the better choice? Is it Shakhnova or is it Suraj?
Shahnoza.
Why?
Because she is closer me than Suraj.
Okay. maybe. So here, I'm reflecting with you. Okay. It's like I'm your inner self that you're having a dialogue with. So possibly, however, here's my counter argument. So I'm playing what's called the devil's advocate, where I'm purposefully arguing against you. Does Suraj help you with computers at school?
Yeah, he is also ready for helping everybody, but sometimes I'm embarrassed because he is a man.
Okay, so it sounds like you have a lot of, so you know Shakhnova and you know that she's good with computers, but you also have experience with Suraj and Suraj helping you with computers in school. So just some thought there. It might be easier to talk about Suraj. You don't always know that until you try. Okay, so what I recommend when you're studying for the IELTS at home and you're practicing part 2, always think about 2 or 3 possible answers and try with each one. So in this case, what you'd want to do is you'd want to try with Shakhnova, see how it goes, then try it with Suraj, see how it goes. And you might be surprised. You might realize, oh, wait, that was way easier when I was talking about Suraj, just because I see him every day and he's always helping me with computers. So you realize, like, okay, in the real IELTS, I have to be careful what I choose or who I choose for my answer, because it can make a big, big difference in your score. Okay. Does that make sense, Iqbaloy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now I'll give you a chance. Okay. So thank you for bearing with me so far. So now you can speak about Shakhnova. I will take some notes and then I'll give you some feedback. I'll start you off. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. So talk about a person you know that is good with computers. Your 1-minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. Whenever you're ready, Iqbaloy, just start giving me the full answer.
Okay, may I begin now?
Yes.
Well, if I tell about a person who knows computers, she is my friend. Her name is Shahnaza, and she is very excellent. She has experience related to computers because she have graduated IT university, and she has also 3 years experience, and she is a very helpful and open-minded person because she helps everybody. I mean, in our school teacher, she is ready for her help whenever we need, and she always gives her hand when teacher asks her help, and so I think I would suggest to my another teacher for asking her to help to their working chores, and she is a very open-minded person.
Okay, your time is up. I will stop you there. And we will now continue with part 3. All right. Okay, good effort, Iqbaloy. That would be about a band 5 for your score. It's almost fluent, but even though it's fluent, it's lacking quite a bit of detail, and you're not really answering all the questions on the card. So we're not really getting a good idea here of Shakhnova. Okay. So far, you've really only told me 1 sentence of information. My friend Shakhnova is very good with computers because she studied that in university and she helps teachers during class. That's it. Okay, so that's your That's your information. But that's only, if you say that in a clear, correct, concise way, that's really only 12 to 15 seconds of communication, right? So all of that information fits into, let's say, 10 to 20 seconds, okay? You need to give me a lot more. So first of all, you need to remember your notes. You need to remember the questions on the paper, okay? I'm sure, as you probably realized, you made that classic mistake that I warned about at the beginning, where you're telling us about her personality, but you're not really telling us about what she does, right? So you said that she's very excellent, and you said she has experience related to computers. And you said that she is an open-minded person, and you said that she's helpful. And you have a little bit of description, but not nearly enough, okay? You have to be more specific. And so here's where your notes become really useful, and this is where your notes should be helping you to give more details, especially with these personality characteristics, okay? So when you say she's very excellent, what does that mean? So what does it mean that Shahnova is very excellent, Iqbaloy?
I mean, in this question, in this sentence, she has a good experience. I mean, only.
What does that mean?
I'm telling about her knowledge related to computers.
What does that mean?
Only
Okay.
she.
Try to be, so Iqbaloy, I'm going to give you a little bit of help here. And by the way, classmates who are listening in the chat, you can also help each other out. So you don't have to wait for me. You can help each other out.
Yes, I think
Here I'm talking about.
She wants to say that she is very good at computers.
Yeah.
Yes, but what does that?
Say.
But what does that mean?
I mean, she is good. She is good at computer knowledge.
I'm good at computer knowledge. You're good at computer knowledge. Nagora is good at computer knowledge. Nilufar is good at computer knowledge. What does that mean?
I don't know another meaning, but only
Define
I
it. Define it. So define terms like good at computers. So if you're hiring, so imagine that you are a person hiring a new administrator for MyTeacher Uzbekistan, and you're looking at their application and it says, I'm good at computers. What are you going to ask them? So you have to define, right? We have to make it real world. Okay, so they are good at computers. Okay, for example, I'll give you a little bit of assistance here. Okay, so for example, it would be something like they are familiar with at least 5 computer languages, like PHP, I'm not familiar. I'm just you can even make them up, Java and HTML5, right? Okay, so if somebody is good at computers, you define what that means. So they are able to fix a computer within a few hours. They can install an operating system in a matter of minutes. They are knowledgeable with both Apple and Microsoft. They can do graphics design work, create websites, create software applications for phones. Does that make sense, Iqbaloy?
Yeah.
Okay. So good. So it's that detail that the examiner is looking for. Okay. So you need to define it, because otherwise it has no meaning, right? So good with computers is kind of like, if somebody wants to touch my computer and I say, well, wait a second, can you tell me? And they're like, no, I'm good with computers. I'd be like, well, don't touch my computer just yet, right? Like, what do you mean you're good with computers before you touch my computer, right? So what does that mean, right? And so we have to give definitions. Try it again. So keep this in mind, like defining what you're saying, and try it one more time. Okay. So talk about a person you know that is good with computers. Please begin speaking. So Ikbaloy, whenever you're ready, try it again. Don't be shy and give more definitions when you say these kinds of words like help teachers and good with computers. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Teacher.
Okay, may I try?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if I tell about my people, my friends who know computer well, I have a lot of friends. One of them is Shahnaza, and she's a person. She's a person who knows computer. Computer is best among my other my friends. She is a very open-minded person, and she is. She is good at computers, for example, like Java, HPH, and other computer programs. And because she has graduated IT University, and she has also 3 years experience related to computers, and she is always helpful and open-minded girl, because she always always ready for helping her hand in our school, whenever we need her help. And she is a very strict person.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there. Better, starting to improve. Again, there's still a little bit too much of the personality and not enough of the action. So what you still want to focus on is more description. Okay, so when you say she's very helpful at school, you immediately have to show that with action. So she is very helpful with computers in school. Last week, when there was a network problem, Shaknoba was able to reset the modem and get the internet back, which made it possible for all of the students to continue learning online and to join some live classes with Adrian with IELTS speaking. No, I'm kidding, but you get the idea, right? So, so that's the best way to do it. Okay, you want to always back it up with action. All right, so practice that, everyone. When you're talking about a person, always give actions to personality. Otherwise, it's just a list of personality, and you're not going to get a very good band score. You cannot get into the band 7.5, 8, 8.5. Even a 6.5 becomes challenging. Okay. All right. Ikbaloy, thank you so much for helping me with that part 2. We'll cover a couple of part 3 questions as well. Does anybody want to volunteer for part 3 questions?
May I?
Yes. Who am I speaking with?
Filola.
Filola, let's take somebody else, because I think we have about 18 students with us. So let's give someone else a try, Filola. If nobody else wants to try, then we can always circle back. But would somebody else like to try part 3?
Okay, can I give you a question about part 2?
Sure.
Can we use the word "she is always as bright as a button" in order to describe her intelligence or someone's intelligence in part 2?
It's awkward. So don't focus so much on idiomatic language. That's not going to get you marks. If you say she's a very bright person, that's fine. It's better to focus on the description. So she's a very bright person. She wrote her first program when she was just 10 years old. Okay, so the description is much more important than trying to force an idiom into the situation or an expression.
What about
Okay.
you say she can upload or download anything in a blink of eyes?
Yeah, sure. So
It's also
again,
internet.
yeah, so using expressions like in the blink of an eye, it's okay, but that's not what the examiner is focusing on. The examiner is focusing a lot more on the quality of the information than the use of an idiom or a specific vocabulary. Okay, so pay attention to that. Okay, I think we had a volunteer for part 3. Who was that? Can you say again? Somebody was trying to volunteer for part 3. So who was that?
Shall I try?
Who's this? Is this? Yes, you can. May I ask who I'm speaking with?
Yeah.
Nagora?
Yes.
Hi, Nagora.
Good evening.
Good evening. It's morning for me, 8 o'clock in the morning for me. Good evening for you, for sure. Okay, Nagora, yes, definitely. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, here we go. So again, same like part 1, nice full sentences, answer, explain, example. The big difference with part 3 is it's more specific and you're not talking about yourself. You're talking about people in general. Okay, so don't use I so much and definitely don't use you in this case. Okay, here we go. So let's talk about computer knowledge. Where do people acquire most of their computer knowledge from these days?
Well, if I try to answer this question, the question is, where do people acquire most of their computer knowledge from these days? From these days, there are many computer IT clubs, some you know, how to say.
Is this different than in the past? And if yes, how?
Due to technological development, we can
There are
access
some differences.
through the net.
Abdulayeva, can you mute your microphone? Thank you. Nagora, one more time, okay? Is this different than in the past?
Yes, of course. I think it's there are some different. There are many differences. Differentiates between past and nowadays, because in the past they were now not many facilities to learn about to have a good knowledge about computers, and nowadays we have any opportunities, some advantages if we want to learn anything related to computer knowledge and new high technologies.
Okay, let's stop there for a second, Nagora. I'm going to give you some feedback. So that would be about a band 5, because it's not quite fluent and there's a bit of confusion of what the answer actually is, okay? The first step, Nagora, you have to answer directly on the IELTS. You cannot repeat questions. You cannot make general introductions, okay? And Iqbaloy, this is also true for part 2. So you cannot say, for example, like, there are many people that I know who are good with computers, but the one I'd like to talk about today. Examiners really don't like those kinds of sentences. Examiners don't like sentences where they feel like you're wasting time and you're just using kind of a general idea. So here, Nagora, if you say, well, if I try to answer this question, the question is, where do people? Many examiners will just interrupt you. They won't even let you finish what you're saying. They'll either repeat the question or they will just jump to the next question. Is that clear, Nagora?
Yeah, yes. Clear.
Okay, so you can't start that way because you're going to get really frustrated. I was patient, I let you finish, but the real examiner will not let you finish. Okay, they will immediately interrupt you. So they will stop you and interrupt you. So your answer actually starts here with these days. There are many IT clubs. Okay, that's where it starts. And for the examiner, that's where it starts. The examiner will not hear this part of the question. They won't pay attention to it. They won't give you any marks for that. So the only answer I got here was these days there are many IT clubs, some, and then stop. And if you say that, that's a band 4.55. It's an unfinished answer. Okay. Nagora, keep it simple. When you have a problem with your computer, who do you ask or where do you go to find information?
Okay.
So if you're having a problem with your computer right now, like your printer, what are you going to do? Where will you go? Where will you try to get information to fix your computer?
I carry my computers or printer to some computer repairing centers.
Okay, so maybe an expert. Well, here's some advice, Nagora. Maybe just check the internet. Sometimes it's really easy to fix. You just type the problem into the internet. Printer won't turn on. And the internet will say, unplug your printer, punch it a couple of times, plug it back in, and it'll work, right? So the internet has lots of knowledge, right? So these days, there are many IT clubs. A lot of people search online to learn computer information. There are lots of useful YouTube videos. And of course, students learn about programs and hardware in school, right? So think about what you use, right? So the answers are in your head, just keep it simple, okay? So let's try this one more time, and then Nagora, repeat after me. So when I'm finished, repeat after me, okay? So where do people acquire most of their computer knowledge from these days? These days, there are many IT clubs. A lot of people search online to learn computer information. There are lots of useful YouTube videos. And of course, students frequently learn about programs and hardware in school. So one more time, Nagora, where do people acquire most of their computer knowledge from these days?
These days, there are many IT clubs. A lot of people search online to learn computer information, and there are lots of useful YouTube video. And of course, students learn about programs and hardware in school.
Okay, much better. So that's what you need to do in order to get into those band 7, band 8, band 9 answers. Okay, so keep those thoughts a little bit simpler. And Nagora, very importantly, answer the question directly. That's the only information that the examiner is listening for and grading you on. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for volunteering. Students, I've run out of time for today's lesson. Here's a few more questions on the screen for you to try. I'm sure that Shardor will be sharing this with you. And of course, we've got a lot of help for you on the websites as well. Shardor, if you're there, please chime in and let me know that you're still there. I need to wrap it up for today.
Yes, I'm here. And
all right.
Something has drawn here.
Yeah, go ahead, Shardor. So I'll let you wrap it up and then we'll go from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how can I clear all these drawings, masterpieces?
I'm not sure. I think there's an annotate button in Zoom, and then there's like a delete or clear screen or something in that option when you click on the annotate, like a little garbage can or something. It's not mine. So so when I click on annotate in my Zoom, I can see that there's like an erase button or clear button. There's a clear button with a little garbage can, clear all drawn. Oh, there, I just cleared it there.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So is this an end of the lesson, right?
This is the
may I
end for
say about my
now.
feeling? May I say about my feeling?
Sure. I don't know who that is, but yes, of course.
Okay, I'm very happy to be being in your lesson, and we are very embarrassed and shy because I think, in my opinion, I am the first time in your lesson, but I'm very happy over the moon. Thank you for your advice.
You are very, very welcome. And thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. I will be here again next month too. So I'm sure Sharder will tell you about that so you can join again.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Please advise advice to your friends, our service, and everybody welcome to join my teacher.
Okay, we are happy because you have organized this lesson, and I appreciate your helping also. Thank you for your everything.
Yes, great thanks to Mr. Adrian to give us such kind of opportunity and supporting, and not all IELTS tutors can do this job. Thank you very much. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
all,
Mr.
very awesome this club. Maybe how to say now, I don't know, because my feeling is very good because this is the first time is face to face Mr. Adrian's lesson. Very good, awesome. Thank you for you.
You are most welcome. I hope that all of you have a great start to your week. And
Yes.
and I want to tell you too that, keep in mind, you're all beautiful, smart people. And sometimes it's frustrating to learn another language, especially when you start to get into the higher levels, but never give up. Your brain is a learning machine. And as long as you keep practicing, you will be awesome. So I look forward to helping many of you in the coming days and weeks. And then we'll talk soon, Shardor, and we'll organize that for everybody. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Adrian, please come to our Republic, Uzbekistan.
I'm sure I will. I'll get there. I'm very excited. I know it's a beautiful country. I've seen a lot of beautiful pictures.
You know,
So
our
definitely one day I
Right.
will be
very
One
there.
day we will invite him. Yes.
I look forward to that day. Okay, bye everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye. 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 Everybody. Okay.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.